hook line breathing. I'm going to set myself up on my back. I'm going to have my feet planted on the ground. You can't start off with, I want to establish some bony points of contact, and we're going to add sort of a breathing sequence into this little tutorial as well. From a foot perspective, I want to make sure that I've got a squared heel, so an inside and outside edge of the heel, a base of the big toe and a base of the little toe in contact with the ground. I'm going to try and apply pressure straight down through those feet. So that I'm effectively trying to stay nice and heavy through my heels as I'm in this position. In terms of establishing sort of how far the feet are away from me, the bony contacts will enable me to sort of work out what that is. So if I go too far away, I can get heavy through my heels, but I can't get heavy through my forefeet. If I go too close, it's the reverse of that situation. I can get some good pressure through my forefoot, but I struggle to get heavy pressure through my heels. So in terms of establishing that pressure, that will help establish how far my feet need to go away from me. Beyond that, I'm looking for some contacts up the chain as well. From a pelvis standpoint, I've got something called PSIS, which is a contact that I want to get nice and heavy on. If you find the top of your pelvic crest, run down the back side of it, you'll find that there's a bony bump that you eventually run into, and that's a contact that we want to establish or get heavier on in this position. The rib cage between your spine and your shoulder blade, and then the base of your skull is another one that we want to get heavy on. We can sort of establish that from our feet to get heavier on those pressures up above. So if I get the requisite pressure through my feet, I push straight down. I'm going to try and push through the heels to try and effectively slide myself up along the ground. So I'm going to effectively sort of have almost a skin draggy effect as I do so. I'm going to feel that I get heavier on my PSIS, I get heavier on that upper back, I get heavier on my skull. And really, if you have your mind on your skull, if you can really sort of identify that heaviness through the skull or that skin drag through the skull, generally that effect is going to have to translate in those other iterations before it gets there. I want to make sure that in terms of establishing that heaviness, that I remain nice and soft through my tummy. Once I've got that positioning, we're going to sort of talk through a sequence of breath where we're trying to sort of work on a nice circumferential expansion. So we'll work through a sequence to sort of establish that. I'm going to hold on to the pressure through my feet, make sure that I hold on to this heaviness on the bony contacts that we've established. And then I'm going to whack a hand on my chest and my tummy as my first part of this sequence. And all I'm trying to do here is take long, silent breaths in through my nose and out through my nose. And effectively, the first goal I'm trying to achieve is to have the hand on the chest and hand on the tummy rise at a similar rate. So not chest first or chest more or belly first or belly more. I want to think the two are traveling up together. And on the exhale, they're traveling down together. And again, I want that breath to be silent. This is tension-free, effortless type of breathing. When I feel like I start to establish that and I can increase the size of that, again, remaining tension-free, I'm going to keep a hand on my chest and I'm going to take my hand on my tummy and I'm going to put it on the muscles on the sides of my neck. And I'm trying to work on keeping these muscles nice and quiet whilst I'm working on these bigger breaths. So we're going to try and identify the muscles we're trying to sort of keep nice and calm and mushy. If we take a long sniff of air, loud sniff of air in through your nose, you'll feel some muscles really sort of pop under your fingers, pop up underneath your fingers. Those are the muscles that we're trying to monitor. We're trying to sort of maintain that expansion that we were with the previous step. And as I do so, I'm trying to make sure that these muscles stay nice and mushy, nice and quiet as I'm taking those nice, long, silent breaths. When I feel like I've got that aspect of the sequence, I'm then going to try and pay attention to the pressure that I feel, the expansion that I feel of my back into the floor. So as I take a breath of air in, not only should the top side rise, the bottom should also feel or pressurize and feel as if it's pushing into the ground. And if you can imagine, if it pushes into the ground's not going to move, so it will actually feel like I spread out into the floor and lift off the floor. So when I'm doing that, I'm going to have my hand on my chest, my hand on my tummy to try and ensure that I'm still getting this top side expansion. And at the same time, trying to now put my mind, paying attention to what I'm feeling on this backside where I'm trying to feel as if I'm getting bigger into the floor. So I'm going to have hand on chest and tummy, nice quiet neck, nice long, slow breaths in through my nose. and out through my nose. All the while I'm holding on to that pressure through the feet, which is establishing that heaviness on the iterations up the chain. Happy breathing.